Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Recha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom. This is your brother Quan, the author of the Great Millstone Charlotte Camp. Come with a quick lesson through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And this morning, I just wanted to touch on the topic of, the famine of the word is coming soon, man, right? It'll be here before you know it, right? And that's, land backing off, the brothers in Canada who went into the bill C-9, right? Going into, pretty much them tying hate speech to, pretty much reading out of the Bible, man, teaching the Bible, right? Because as you read here, it says Canada's Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act, man. Right? Now, I just wanted to touch on the topic of the religious exemption that existed for a time. As it says here, the controversial legislation eliminated the long-standing good faith religious exemption from the criminal code's hate speech laws, right? Now, first, let's get this here, right? Because we know these are the times that we're entering into. Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? And that's going to come through, right? Them persecuting the word, man, persecuting the prophets for teaching the word, And, they start, in these other countries, right? Because Canada is not the first, and it's not going to be the last, right? Babylon the Great, right, is going to adopt these same, laws and legislations, right? And, we know they're probably going to use some type of T attack or false flag, right, in order to, push these through, to become law, right? But we know that famine of the word is coming soon, right? This is just the beginning, Now, reading on in this, not Chat GPT, but in the Google AI overview in regards to Canada's Bill C-19 regarding the exemption, it says the repeal of the defense, the new law officially repeals Section 319, subsection 3, or Section 3, subsection B, which previously protected individuals from being convicted of hate speech if they in good faith expressed an opinion on a religious subject or based their argument on a religious text. And that's what the prophets are doing, man, right? We're using the scriptures, right? They're about to demonize the Bible, man, right? The same way Antiochus did, right? This is what they're about to do, right? They're going to demonize the text and call it a book of hate, man, right? Which that's not the issue at hand, right? Because the scriptures tell us to hate the evil, man, right? Let's get that. The problem that they have is that they're being exposed, man, right? This is Amos 5 and 10. It's like 5 and 15. It's a lot. It says, hate the evil and love the good, and establish judgment in the gate. It may be that the Lord power of hosts will be gracious unto the remnant of Joseph, right? But it says hate the evil, man. Hate the evil and love the good. So when we present, to the world to show who the evil are, right? There's a hatred towards that, man, right? Just as the scriptures say, the love of this world is enmity with the Most High, right? To not love this place is to what? To hate it, man, right? And we have a hatred towards Babylon the Great. We have a hatred towards the customs that it pushes, the philosophies that it forces upon the world, right? We have a hatred towards our enemies, man, right? But like it says it previously protected individuals from being convicted of hate speech if they in good faith expressed an opinion on a religious subject or base their argument on a religious text. So our arguments, so to speak, right, are rooted in the scriptures, man. Right. So now in Canada, they can face convictions as a result of it, man. Right. It says the codification of hatred. Instead of the religious exemption, the bill codifies the Supreme Court of Canada's strict definition of hatred, requiring the willful promotion of of detestation and vilification before a charge applies, right? And we we detest this place, man, right? We vilify this place, right? Let's see what that word vilify. Let's see what that says. It says abusively disparaging speech or writing, man. Condemnation. That's what we do, right? We shine a light on all the ugliness that this place pushes in the earth, man, right? And in doing so, now it's being put in law, right? That these are against the rules of the land, to speak out against it, right? There's a quote that speaks on how pretty much evil, right, becomes commonplace, right? Let me see if I can find that actually. Let's see. I don't think I can look it up here. Actually, let's see. Let's see. Evil. Yep, this is it right here. So from Dwight Longnecker, it says, first we overlook evil, then we permit evil, then we legalize evil, then we promote evil, then we celebrate evil, then we persecute those who still call it evil, right? And as we call the evil things out, they're going to continue to push things into the books to make it illegal, man, for us to to call them out on their evil, man, right? To hate the evil, to love the good, right? As King David said, he hated them with a perfect hatred, man, right? Now, let me see here. Let's go back. Slovakia. So it says here, the codification of hatred. Instead of religious exemption, the bill codifies the Supreme Court of Canada's strict definition of hatred, requiring the willful promotion of detestation and vilification before a charge applies, right? So, we detest this place, we vilify this place. So those charges, are going to be directed at the prophets, man, right? That's why it says in Isaiah 59 and 14. Isaiah 59. Isaiah 59 and 14, it reads, and judgment is turned away backward, and justice standeth far off. For truth is fallen in the street, and equity cannot enter. Yea, truth faileth, and he that departeth from evil, right, as we read that quote, maketh himself a prey. We're going to be, as it says in the NLT, under attack, man, right? This is just the first step in that attack, man, which is going to lead to the famine of the word, right? Because both it's going to be illegal to speak out against this place, and the Lord is going to remove his men, right, from the public eye, right? Because it's going to be so intense, man. You know, it says, and the Lord saw it, and it displeased him that there was no judgment. Now, reading this in the NLT, our courts oppose the righteous, right? So, Canada's the start, right? Other countries have pushed things as well. France has shown, you know, what's the word? Showing that they're open to doing the same thing as you saw what happened with them pushing IUIC out and not allowing them to teach, right? You see, you know, over in with those Israelis, right? You can't read the Bible out in public, you know, or teach the Bible in public. There's already precedent for these things across the globe, and it's just going to take one event for America to be open to pushing this as well. Right? It says our courts oppose the righteous and justice is nowhere to be found. Truth stumbles in the streets and honesty has been outlawed, right? So to vilify this place, to call out the disgusting, debaucherous nature of Babylon the Great, right? To call these things out is going to be vilified or be outlawed, I mean, right? Because that's honesty, right? That's truth, right? The truth is seen as dangerous to these lies that they've pushed, man, right? That they've rooted their society in, because it's tearing down those strongholds. So like it says, and honesty has been outlawed. Yes, truth is gone, and anyone who renounces evil is attacked, right? And we're renouncing evil, right? Like it said, we detest, right? These things. We use the scriptures to solidify, right? The detestation, right? The vilification, right? And they're going to place charges upon those who do that. It says here, actually finishing out, the Lord looked and was displeased to find that there was no justice, right? So that's why the famine of the word, right, is on the horizon, man. It's soon come. For greater certainty clause, the government added a clause intended to clarify that communicating in good faith based on the religious text does not in itself constitute promoting hatred, right? But what does in good faith mean, man? Right? Because they're trying to define what somebody's intentions are, man. Let's see. It says honesty or sincerity, right? And we're teaching in sincerity. So it shouldn't be an issue, right? But there are certain topics that, you can't touch. You can't touch the LGBTs. You can't touch the Amalekites, right? You can't touch these child predators, man, right? So when you use the scriptures to call out Esau for his wickedness, right? You can't touch the years of slavery that they've been hand in hand in, man, right? Using the scriptures, right? Because you would hate the man who put your people in slavery. You would hate those, right, who push this sodomitish, agenda, right? You would hate all these things, and we use the scriptures to back those up, right? To back that up, right? Let's get this here. This is Psalm 139 and verse 21. Do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? And am I not grieved with those that rise up against thee? Right? And we hate this place, man. Right? We're grieved by our enemies, right? As they boast themselves against Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. In the same manner that David hated Goliath, right? Because he was boasting against the Lord. This is the same stead that we come in, man. Right? And now they're putting law in place that we can't use the scriptures to back up that reasoning, man. Right? It says, and because they don't want the world to be judged or run, right, with the scriptural backing, man. Right? It says, I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies. Right? So we count these our enemies, man. Right? And they're showing it, to be true, to be so. Right? That's pretty much the point on this, But we're seeing the precedent being set, right, on this bill C-9 being passed. I believe it was on the 18th that it was passed. So if it's happening in Canada, they're setting the stage for it to happen in America, man. Right? And again, that famine of the word is gonna come, right? Because that persecution is gonna come to those who prophesy, man. Right? Let's get that Revelation 12 and 17, right? Because those who come in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai are gonna be, the target number one. This is Revelation 12 and 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. And the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, man, right? So to prophesy, you also have to, hate your current captivity, man, right? Because you're prophesying the downfall of it, right? Which could be considered hatred, right? And if you're using the Bible in their words, if you're using the Bible to push hatred or to like it says to express, where are we at? It says if you're using the Salakia. Yeah, you could be convicted of hate speech if in good faith expressed an opinion on a religious subject or based their argument on a religious text, right? So if you are so-called speaking hate according to the scripture, right, you're going to be vilified, man, right? As we read, you're going to be attacked. They're going to attack the prophecy. They're going to attack the testimony of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man, right? Which is, again, going to lead to the famine of the word. Because the Lord is ultimately going to take the prophets off the streets, right? And they're going to be taking through the Spirit of the Lord, operating on Esau. They're going to be taking brothers' videos down, man. They're going to be allowing them, right, to round up those who are preaching and teaching, man, right? Like brothers have said, brothers may be teaching in parks, and things of that nature, man, right? Let me see. I think that was the point, man. Just, preparing for the family of the word, man, right? Making sure you get your house in order, right? While you still can, taking this oil, as the scriptures say, go to them that sell and buy for those who, who have been dragging their feet, man, right? Let's get that real quick, trimming your lamps, as it says. Yep. This is Matthew 25. Because there's going to be a time where that oil isn't available. We'll start in verse 1. Matthew 25 and 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish, right? So, we pray that we're part of those wise virgins, man, right? They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, right? But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. And this is the time to get that oil, right? Before the famine of the word commences. We see the groundwork being laid, and they're moving quickly, man, right? They're hastening to try to bring forth their new world order agendas, right? And we're hastening the day of the Lord coming to destroy this place, man, right? So these things are all going to be, speedily coming. This is why the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, right? They prepared themselves, right? It says, And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. And this is what, the family of the word entails, man, right? Those who didn't take heed to the word while it was available. Those who didn't build that hedge through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, who was, those who didn't establish that relationship with the Lord, right? It says, But the wise answer saying, Not so, least there be not enough for us, right? And as the scriptures tell you, he's going to close up the mouths of the prophets, man, right? That, as it says, their tongues shall cleave to the roof of their mouths, man, right? Because the time of prophesying will be done, and, and we're going to be in the final seconds, man. It says, but go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves, right? So hey, go get it on your own, man, right? You chose not to prepare yourself. You chose, right, to misuse the prophets, right? Going in 2/3, right? You scoffers and scorners, the famine of the word is gonna, catch you unawares, man, right? And as it says in Proverbs first chapter, right, the Lord is gonna laugh at your calamities, man, because you refused. It says, and while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. And that's the time that we're coming into, where those doors of mercy are ultimately going to be closed, and judgment is going to commence, right? That final judgment being the nuclear fire, right? And the famine of the word is the start of that, man, right? Because as soon as the word gets taken away, right, Jacob's trouble is going to be right in full swing, right? And we're going to see the full judgment of the Lord come forth, right? But things like Bill C-9 in Canada, right, are just the beginning of what's going to come to America, man, right? Again, it's just a precedent that's being placed, right, for what's going to be coming to the America soon come, right? The family of the word will be here before you know it. So Lord willing, as edifying through the Spirit and prophet, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. I want to close by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom. Kwame Asherallah in the Bible. Shalom.